from James Cameron, the guy who brought us the two good Terminator movies. Titanic. So Titanic stars Leonardo Dicaprio as Jack Dawson and Kate Winslet as Rose Duplicator. Wow, say that 3 times fast. Anyway, so Rose is a girl that is part of the rich life, and she does not like it for obvious reasons. She's being forced into a marriage to this guy named Cal, who basically beats her and all such, and she just wants it to end and all such. Then she runs into Jack Dawson, who is a third-class passenger, and, well, they become friends, and suddenly they start a romance. And honestly, they start this romance on the worst thing possible, which is called the Titanic. Yeah, so this whole entire story is being told by a woman who is 100 years old after this crew is going down to explore the Titanic. They want to find this necklace that supposedly went down with the ship as well. But then they notice a picture of Rose when she was younger that was on the Titanic. She was wearing the necklace. So basically she's explaining her story. So that is a great part. I do like listening to people talk about history, about time periods that they were actually in. So this movie definitely was a treat to watch. And also, what I also did like in this movie is the fact that Jack and Rose meet actual people that were on the ship. Like Mr. Andrews, he was the guy who designed the ship and basically is proud of what he did. The main guy who owns the ship talks to the captain about he wants the ship to be in the newspapers for her speed besides her size, making him go faster. And Captain Smith himself, who doesn't really do much in the whole movie besides doing captainy stuff. But they also meet Molly Brown, played by Kathy Bates, otherwise known as the unsinkable Molly Brown. So it was really interesting to see them interact with actual people who were alive on the Titanic. And also, spoiler, this is not a spoiler. The movie's called Titanic. You know exactly how this movie ends. When the ship is sinking itself and the disaster is escalating, you really do notice it. And the ship alone sinking into the ocean did actually look real. So that I gotta say is very impressive for a movie. And the fact that when it first hits the iceberg, no one really knows what's going on. And when everyone's filling up the boats, they're not exactly too afraid of what's going on. And then the ship's starting to tilt into the water, and people are starting to panic. People are starting to see the dire of the situation. And when all the boats are gone and the ship is sinking faster, panic ensues, and it is crazy. That, I gotta admit, was pretty good. However, this movie does have a bit of a downfall to it. And it's the fact that everyone in the world knows this movie, and I've heard several times of how many times they have cried in the end, how much the story really moved them, and how much they loved the romance and everything. This is what I gotta say about all that. One, yes, the romance was good. It didn't make me want to stick a gun to my head, so I gotta say it was pretty good. And two, sure, it did have great effects, but it's just about a sinking ship, so there was not a lot to really add on to it. It was a great story, it being a little bit too long for a couple of days. What am I saying? The length is not the big problem. The big problem in this movie is that everybody cries in the end of this movie. Now I'm thinking, no shit, it's Titanic. What did you think this was going to end? What, you think they were just going to reach New York and everyone's just going to live happily ever after? Because that's not correct, because that didn't happen. So yeah, the reason why this movie kind of goes down on my list is because I had a complete burnout of this movie. I have seen it so many times, I have heard it from so many people, that I was at a point where I was like, oh my god, I know how this movie ends. In fact, I know this movie so well, I could probably read the entire dialogue in this movie as the movie's going on. Because I know what's going to happen. I've seen it several times. So I'm completely burned out of this movie. For me, personally, it's not really the best Leonardo DiCaprio movie, especially from movies that he has been in so far, like the Wolf of Wall Street, Blood Diamond, The Departed, all that such. Movies that I absolutely enjoy. I find a whole lot better than this movie. And Kate Winslet is really good in this movie, but I've seen her in better stuff too, like Revolutionary Road, which is also starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and was it The Reader? I haven't seen The Reader in a while. I gotta rewatch that. A review for another time. So in the end, I gotta say, this movie is good, visual effects wise, a good romance, great acting, great characters, and also showing actual events that did happen. Now I'm going to get to one spoiler once when I get my rating up for this movie, but my big problem with this movie is that I'm burned out of it. I've heard it so many times, and it comes to a point where I'm thinking to myself, I already know how this movie ends. Why should I even watch this movie anymore? Because I can literally repeat the entire movie in my head. So anyway, I gotta say, this movie is definitely worth watching and definitely worth buying on DVD. So that's what I'm gonna give it. So the spoiler that I was gonna explain that actually did happen, which shocked me at first, was when Will Murdoch is at one of the last boats and all these people are crowding around. He shoots two people. One of them being the character Tommy, who I don't think was a real guy or whatever. But then he realizes what he did, so he salutes and then he shoots himself in the head. He did actually shoot himself in real life. So I gotta admit, I did like the level of detail that James Cameron did put in this movie. Truth be told, the guy has been obsessed with the movie. And obsessed with Titanic. So, guys, Titanic, have you seen it? What did you think about it? You totally have seen it. Everyone has seen this movie. But whatever you thought, comment below, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.